Asun ka camera shbain. Jeki atana mana. Konyoch. En ik man, dat is een brochen met de rookjes rook. Ik kan gekjes kalje geitjes paard de gewone rook. En shake de bog in de nacht. Bunny shake de bog in de bunny shake de bog in de nacht. Er mo wat ben nou. Ze roet gavi wel.
Wel parach?
Oh, and you're yeah. But I'm very thankful that my parents taught me Gaelic first, without trying to teach me English and forgetting the Gaelic. Because I was talking to a fella today. He's from down outside of Sydney. And he was growling about people who would talk Gaelic. And his parents spoke it fluently. I said I told him they made a big mistake, that they didn't teach him the Gaelic first, and he'd learn his English after he was out in the world or went to school. There are professors of English from all over eastern Nova Scotia who went to school without a word of English. I know, true. One of them was Allan McCachan's brother, Johnny, that died, that was killed in New York. That man was a professor of English in one of the big American universities. And he spoke Gaelic fluently when he was in college.
Why did they make a point of keeping the Gaelic in the family?
Because they liked the Gaelic, and they liked the Scottish culture, and they knew it was part of it. We were lucky enough for that. Well, it has lost ground because of and blame it on the older people. Take, for instance, my case. I speak Gaelic fluently. My wife spoke good French. And we could have taught the family the basics of both languages. She'd be home with the children all day. She didn't work. And she could have them speaking French. They'd be as happy as anything to, when I came home, to try and explain things to me in Gaelic. And possibly the whole family would be bilingual. But they'd have the basics of Gaelic and French. And if they wanted to go further, they could. Because as a child, you learn so quickly. Now, the first remembrance I have of my mother is they'd be playing on the floor, and she'd be asking me to spell things like cat and dog. That's the first thing I remember about my mother. I was maybe 3 or 4. Well, she started this right away, you know. We spoke Gaelic and understood it.
What about all the other houses, farms along the road?
They practically all, at my time, all of them spoke Gaelic to their families. The next generation didn't. They went to the English. Very often, I think in Gaelic and I translate it into English. When I come into a house or a place, or when I meet somebody first, my first impressions are in Gaelic, good or bad. That's right. My first impression. You heard the old saying, Cape Bretonners have I say to myself in Gaelic, well, that's as true as it's spoken. You'll automatically, in subconscious mind, sums it up in Gaelic. You try to put it in words for somebody. And if you want to describe a person adequately, you do it in Gaelic and do it in your own mind. Now, languages. I'll tell you about as we're on this. I was in the hospital with cancer in '89. had an emergency operation. The tumor broke. And I came out of the intensive care the 8th day, and I was pretty woozy. I'd only be sensible for an hour, and maybe I'd be 2 hours raving and telling them how bad the room was and things were also wrong. But about the 10th day, I was coming along pretty good. My sister called from Boston. And the nurses, God bless them, they were wonderful. They got everything ready. They had the phone from me because one of my boys got me a phone right away, but they propped me up in bed so I could talk more comfortable. And when I spoke to my sister, she answered me in Gaelic, and we talked for about 10 minutes. You could have heard a pin drop. I was in a private room right next to the nurse's sitting room, and there was a mirror, a side bureau at the mirror, and right on the door like that. And you could see them come and listen. And you could hear a pin drop. Everybody stopped. And we were talking and kind of laughing about different things. I was describing some of the things that happened to me, and she'd laugh herself silly, you know. Anyway, after we hung up, this nurse came in, young lady, very nice nurse, capable nurse, and a real doll of a girl. And she said, "Mr. Gillis, what language were you and your sister speaking?" I told her. "Well, how do you do that?" she said. Well, I said, "What language do you speak?" "Oh, I speak English." Well, I said, "How do you do that?" "Oh, I know what I'm saying. I know when I talk, I know what I'm saying. And I can read it, I can write it, I know, and I really know what I'm saying when I'm talking." Well, I said, "Do you think that my sister and I were making noises for 10 minutes on the phone without knowing what we were saying?" "Oh, I never thought of it that way." Now, this is the attitude that so many people have towards a language they don't understand. Not Gaelic, but any language that they don't understand. That it's just gibberish. They don't understand that that language is possibly the most precious possession that those people have. And they enjoy speaking it. They really enjoy it, like I do the Gaelic. I'm delighted when I meet somebody who speaks Gaelic to me. It's just like a fresh drink of water. And unfortunately, over the years, the Scottish allowed themselves to drop the Gaelic when they could still have it just as much as they had originally, and their children wouldn't be any worse off. They'd be better off. Because so many of them are trying to learn it. You take Irish Gaelic, very much like the Scottish Gaelic. It just depends on the part of Ireland you come from. Some parts of Ireland, their Gaelic is very difficult, but other parts you can understand it well. It's the same as the Gaelic is spoken differently when you go down the North River. Because I was working down here in Sears, I had charge of the heating and heating maintenance in the boiler room, and the boiler inspector came in, and I took him around. He took him in the boilers, and I couldn't place where his accent was from. He sounded like a Manxman. And then we went through the building, testing the pressure vessel, checking the pressure vessel, and going to the carpenter shop. There was a MacLellan from Southwest Marglee working there, and I spoke to him Gaelic. We always used to have a little chat. And when he went by, he said to me, "Hamisha ma kutach, I'm well also." And then he laughed. He said, "You know, that sounded so good," he said. "That's just almost like we say it, what you said." And he was from Ireland. He was from down oh, not too far from Dublin. And I could talk very well with him. He was the finest man you could meet. But he got such a kick out of hearing Gaelic.
More on time.
Today, anywhere.